Hello there, I'm Akaze, the project maestro. Great to see you again. Yes, in my last video in this series, I introduced to you what a failed construction project looks like. So today, I want to dive into um, the causes of a failed construction project. What are the causes? What brings about a failed construction project? So, are you ready? Let's dive in. Yeah, number one, and this is so important, it's so popular, so common, is the numerous changes in scope. Numerous changes in scope. What do I mean by numerous changes in scope? While the project is on, the client decides to do what? The client decides to change some aspects of the project. Change make maybe changes in some kind of materials being used, or changing the actual structure of the building. Things like that. That's what we call change in scope. Change in scope. So when there are numerous and uncontrolled changes in scope, in a project scope, it leads to what? Delays, time delays, and cost what? Overrun. What we call cost overrun means increase in cost. It leads to time delays and increase what? In cost. And of course, like I said in my last video in this series, it leads to what? That is what you call what? A failed project. A project that is completed in a longer time than planned, or at a higher cost than planned. That is a failed project. So numerous changes in scope causes what? Failed what? Projects. Delays and high cost what? Of projects. That's number one. Then number two, poor project planning. Poor project planning. As you may know, project planning is the key to success in any project. Any project that, like they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So when you fail to plan your projects, when you fail to plan things like procurement strategies. When I mean procurement strategy, I mean before you start your project, how do you want to procure materials, or where do you want to procure materials? Who are your suppliers? Do they have the right quantity that you will need as at when you need them? Where are you going to procure equipment if you will need equipment on your project? Where are you going to buy equipment? Are you going to rent? That's procurement strategy. The workers, the artisans, or the contractor, how are you going to engage them? How are you going to pay them? Those are procurement strategies. When you don't plan your procurement strategies well, it's going to lead to what? A failed project. Poor project planning. Another thing under project planning is what? When you don't have strict timelines, for various sections of your work. Every project has sections. You have the foundation, you have the frames, that's the what in local terms they call it pillars, but we call it columns, the beams, the suspended floor, the roof, the finishings, the painting, the tiling, the carpentry work, furniture. All these sections of work, they have their timelines, or they have the time in which you need to work, carry them out. And some of them are such that if you don't carry them out at a certain time, it's going to affect the next section of work. It's going to affect the next section of work. So when you don't get your timelines, your project timelines correctly, the project is deemed to fail. The project is deemed to fail. Another thing under poor project planning is when you talk about regulation, when you fail to liaise as a client, you fail to liaise with the appropriate regulatory authorities, then of course there will be a problem. When you fail to plan to liaise with what the appropriate regulatory authority in terms of project planning and planning approvals, and I'm still going to talk about that soon. Then also when you don't detail your cash flow, you don't plan how you're going to the amount of cash you need at the various stages of the project. It's going to affect your project. It's going to lead to a failed project. Also, as a client, when the client doesn't make funds available that are required for the project, then of course you are planning to fail. So all these are things we talk about in project planning. So when you don't do these things, it results what you are talking about. It results what in poor project planning, and of course it leads to what a failed project. The third one is what? Inadequate resources. Of course, when on a project the client does not provide the adequate resources required, resources in terms of financial, human, equipment, material resources. When you don't provide those resources, for the completion of your project, then of course that project is going to fail. It's going to fail. A lot of times, what happens is that why the resources are not provided for is maybe the client did not even have the correct or the accurate cost that that project will cost at the beginning. So of course, as time went on and he has expended his budget, he budgeted whatever amount he budgeted, he has spent it, and the project is not completed. Of course, what happened? What was going to happen? The project is going to be failed. The project is going to stop or be abandoned, and of course, that leads to what? A failed project. Failed project. The fourth one, I think I'm on the fourth one, and the fourth one is what lack of when you don't lack of poor engagement with government authorities. I mentioned that when I was talking about poor project plan, but I want to focus on this. Some clients, especially in Nigeria where I am, and some clients are fond of starting projects without engaging the planning authorities, the government authorities that are in charge of giving planning approvals, ahead of time. The actual process or the right process of things is before you start a project construction, when you have done your design, when you've done your drawings, you are supposed to take those drawings to the planning authorities, the approval authorities, and they look at it and then review it, and then they give you approval before you start construction. But what happens a lot is that a lot of clients start work, they start the project, without those approvals, and then what will happen? The clients, I'm sorry, the government authorities, they will come and say shut the site. In fact, I'm on a particular project now that we came on the project in May. Was it in May or April? April or May. I was engaged in April, but we came on the project in May. Guess what? Within that month, within that month, I think it was in April, May, the project was stopped or was shut down by the planning authorities. They shut it down. They just gave a release of approval in October. And in fact, the project hasn't. We have not even come like fully resumed back to site yet. Why? Because the client did not get the appropriate approval permit before going to site. So, of course, that leads to what? A failed project. The project is already behind by upward of 7, 8 months right now. The project is already behind by 8 months. That's the failed project. That is the characteristics of what? A failed project. Yes. Then another cause of failed construction project is what? Lack of client support. This is when the client doesn't support maybe the consultants or the project manager, whoever it is the client has engaged to oversee the project. If the client doesn't give them his full support, to manage the other parties on site. Sometimes some clients maybe they have some personal relationship with the contractor, or maybe they have some personal relationship with some artisans, and so because of that personal relationship, the consultants or the project manager that they also employed on the site cannot really affirm his authority over these contractors or artisans, as the case may be. And so because of that, the project fails. I've seen it happen on projects whereby one artisan is loved by the client, and then as a result, things drag. The client that particular contractor or artisan begins to drag the project, and the project manager, the consultant cannot do anything about it. So, and of course, what happens? The project will drag, time will go, maybe more money will be spent, and it leads to what? A failed project. Another one is what? Micromanagement of resources, just to save costs. Now, some clients and contractors do this. Both clients and contractors, they do this. Simply because they want to reduce cost as much as possible, they tend to reduce the quality of the things they buy, of the materials they buy, the quality of the resources. They tend to reduce it just because they want to save costs. But I tell you, at the end of the day, what will be the result? The result will be you have a low quality building. You have a low quality building that may not meet your expectations. It may be the client, it may be the contractor, as the case may be. So when you micromanage resources just to save costs, you will end up with a low quality building, which is a failed project, just as I described in my last video. Now the last one is inexperience. And now this is when it is lack of experience or expertise among the project team members. When a client engages consultants or project manager, architects, engineers who do not have the required experience to manage projects of that caliber. Of course, there are consultants and consultants. There are consultants that can manage skyscrapers. There are some consultants that, based on their experience, they've only managed a duplex, a one-story building, or a two-story building. That's the best they have done. So when you bring them on when you just jump and bring them on a skyscraper project, a project of 10, 15, 20 story, they may not have the record. They may, I'm saying they may not have the requisite experience or expertise in running that project. Of course, what happens, they will have, it will lead to what? Poor decision making and poor execution of the project. And at the end of the day, you will have a failed project. So these are the 7 causes of what? Of failed construction projects, which I thought it right was to mention to you. So don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into the trap of what? Of a failed construction project. Avoid failed projects. Get a quantity surveyor or call on us today, to discuss so that we can what? Help you what? Revive your project. Feel free. There will be a link somewhere around this video to book a free call with me, and then we'll discuss and see how we can revive your project. So the next video I'll be doing in this series, I'm going to talk about what you need to do to revive what? Your failed or failing what? Construction project. So if you're interested, watch out for what? The next video. Yeah. So till that video, stay blessed, and I wish you success what? In your construction project. Peace out.